If you're a health or a life coach who wants to get more clients in your business but without the hustle, then this is the episode of the show for you. Stay tuned, I'm going to share how you can generate more spontaneous client inquiries in your business. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help health and life coaches get more clients, grow their businesses and live the best lives while they do it. And today on the show we're talking all about spontaneous client inquiries. Now, this is a totally made up term that I have made up that is basically around how I think most of us coaches want our clients to come to us, because I think there's the reality of how a lot of us get clients, and then there's this desired way. And I wanted just to talk about the differences and how we get to the point where we are just getting random people out in the world, you know, booking discovery calls, contacting us on our contact forms and that kind of thing. So I'm going to talk a bit about what spontaneous client inquiries are, why we want more of them, what the opposite of spontaneous client inquiries are and why we perhaps still need that, and just to explain it around how we generate more of those spontaneous client inquiries as well. And obviously all of this is about ultimately how do we get more clients in our business, and as an extension of this as well, where this really takes us, this talk of spontaneous client inquiries, is how do we actually generate more income further down the line, scaling, all that kind of stuff when it comes to business growth. So it kind of takes us in that direction as well. So let's start off by explaining what spontaneous client inquiries are. And I think to do that, we kind of need to look at what non-spontaneous client inquiries are. So basically in our coaching business, when we are getting clients, I think there's kind of two main ways that clients come to us / we come to them, which is what we're going to get into. There is the part of getting clients where we are having to go out there and find them. And by this I mean there's usually some highly individualized relationship building, selling, doing reach outs. It might be things like having a DM strategy. It might be about sending emails to people, sending, video messages to people. It might be going out and doing in-person networking. Whatever it is, the route for you getting the client in that case is you having to really go out there and find the people and really engage with them in order to position yourself and position your offer in the right way to sell it to them. So hopefully I'm making sense. This is basically, a lot of that kind of the networking, the DMing, the emailing, the going out and like having those conversations with people. That's what this is about. And in all honesty, that's a really important thing. It's a really important way to get clients, particularly when you are starting out. Spontaneous client inquiries are a little bit different. Spontaneous client inquiries, they are the ones where you are just, sitting on a random Wednesday, typing on your laptop and you get like a little notification from your email and someone's booked a discovery call. Those are, you're still hopefully going to get a client at the end of them. But that inquiry, that client is kind of spontaneous. Like you're not at that point, you might not be sure where they've came from. They might be completely new to you, a total stranger. And that can feel quite exciting. And I can remember in my business when I first started getting those kind of inquiries from people who I had no idea who they were or how they found me. That felt really exciting. And I really felt like my business turned a corner at that point when people were just kind of getting in touch and saying like, hey, like I'd love to book a discovery call, or hey, I'm really interested in working with you. And that was amazing. So, and I really feel like most of us want the spontaneous client inquiries for a whole host of reasons, which I'm going to get into. But ultimately both methods, if you like, are both ways that people come into your world. They result in clients and that's great, but there's some pros and cons, which we're going to get into. And there's some reasons why I think doing stuff to generate more spontaneous client inquiries is worthwhile. So to understand why spontaneous client inquiries are helpful, we need to kind of look at the way that each of those ways of getting clients kind of works. And I think with the first one, where we're having to go out and find people, we're reaching out to people, we're starting conversations, we're DM people, we're networking, we are writing emails, that is absolutely fine. And that's the way that it works. However, some of the issues with that can be a lot for people's nervous systems. Like that is a lot for mine. It can be a lot to have to go out there and do that. It really puts us in what can feel like quite a vulnerable position, and it can trigger a lot of the feelings that we have around sales, around, being icky and, and pressuring people and things like that. So although it's a very valid way of finding clients and it works really, really well, and it's there was always an element of that necessary, I think, in running a coaching business, it can feel like a lot of hard work simply because of the way that it affects our nervous system and the way that it all kind of has to come together to make it work. It can feel like a lot. The spontaneous client inquiries, on the other hand, yes, we still have to do something to generate those. It's not just going to happen by accident. However, it feels like a completely different way of working. People are coming to us rather than us having to go to them. And that's basically the difference between the two. In the first example, where we are having to do reach outs, we are, DMing, we're emailing, we're going in-person networking, or online networking, etc. It's like we're the bee and we are jumping between all the flowers trying to find the nectar, trying to find the pollen. In the spontaneous client inquiries example, we are just being the flower. We're just sitting there smelling nice, looking pretty, being the flower, and the bees are coming to us. And that sounds a hell of a lot easier than having to jump around looking for all the different flowers. Now, like I say, it's really important to recognise, and I'm going to talk about this as we go through, that neither one of these is better than the other per se. A lot of it depends on your business model and your personality type and just what feels good to you. Ultimately, we're talking about getting clients here, but one of them is a lot more sustainable in the long term, which is the spontaneous client inquiries method. So that's why I feel like making sure that you are setting up and structuring your business to generate more spontaneous client inquiries is really, really important. So let's talk a little bit about structuring your business in the way that generates more spontaneous client inquiries. Now, I think the first thing to say is it's really, really key to recognise that, and this is something I teach in Wholehearted Business, and that is there will be an element, and I think there's always an element of you need to be reaching out to people, building relationships, going out there and finding clients, particularly at the start. The systems that we need to generate spontaneous client inquiries, they take time to build. And it's really important that if you want to get clients more quickly, that you are doing the things that are going to generate that more quickly, which often is the DMing people, reaching out and having conversations. And you can do that in ways that are gentle to your nervous system, that feel good, that aren't salesy or icky, just to say there's plenty of ways that you can do that. And I always think that most of our businesses need elements of that, even when we're further, we've got a bigger business, we're further scaled, etc. Also, dependent on your business model and the cost of the things that you're selling. I mean, again, some business coaches might argue with me on this, but I really feel that this is the case. If you are selling much, much higher ticket coaching packages, again, it may be that there needs to be more of that individualized input, relationship building, selling, basically, than the spontaneous client inquiries route. But that's not always the case. It really just depends on your niche, your audience, and like I say, your business model, the cost of what it is that you're selling ultimately. So all of this stuff kind of comes into play. But like I say, there are things that we can do which will help our businesses attract more clients. You don't want to be that flower, we don't want to be the bee. That will do that so that people are coming to us, and when they're interested in becoming clients, they are coming to us. So these are some of the things that you can do to structure your business in that way. And just to say, if this is all vibing for you and it sounds good, please do check out my aligned client attraction system. This really helps you to see the options that you've got and to kind of like look at your marketing almost like a pick and mix and find the strategies and systems that work for you. So basically putting together your own client attraction system, using some of these things that I'm going to talk about, but also some of those higher touch points as well, which also need to be built in, particularly if you are at the start. So please go and download that free guide. It's really, really helpful, really simple. Like, it's nothing, you're not going to be sat there reading a PDF for like hours on end. It's literally just a few pages of a PDF, but it gives you the things that you need to structure your own client attraction system. So how do we generate more of those spontaneous client inquiries? The first thing that we want to be doing is creating a foundation of organic, non-social media based content marketing. That's a bit of a mouthful, so let me explain. We want to be creating content, and this is, if you've been in my world for any length of time, you will know this is my bread and butter. This is what I teach a lot of. And that is basically doing something that is going to help people find you on a consistent, sustainable basis where your results increase over time and they don't decrease over time. And the reason why I say non-social media is because there's yet to be any evidence that I have seen anywhere that will tell me that investing the same amount of time into Instagram, Facebook, TikTok perhaps, if TikTok's your vibe, could be a contender where there's a bit more growth opportunity, or any of those other platforms. I've seen no evidence over the last few months that the energy that you would put into any kind of content marketing would be better spent on social media than it would be on what I'm going to suggest. But that's just my opinion. You can take it or leave it. But what I would be suggesting to people in order to generate more of those spontaneous client inquiries is to look at your longer form search-based platforms that you have more control over, which is basically the blog on your website, potentially other like secondary blogging platforms like Substack or even Medium. Those are options. YouTube is a great one. If you're watching me on YouTube, hello, is a really great one. And also as a add-on, Pinterest, you need to be doing blogging and Pinterest together. Blogging and Pinterest are best friends. That's what I always say. You don't want to be doing one without the other, basically. It's kind of a no-brainer if you do have a blog. I would definitely be doing Pinterest. And also to a certain degree, podcasting, although there's not as much of the search-based engine-ness with podcasting as there is with blogging, Pinterest and YouTube. So that for me is where I would be focusing my energy. That's what I've been doing throughout most of my business. My blog has always been the key thing that I've focused on for a lot of years. And what happens when you do that is when you are focusing on SEO in the right way, that's search engine optimization, it does not have to be as scary as it sounds. Believe you me, I used to think it sounded hideously scary and really like far too in depth for me to get my head around. It's not that scary. But looking at SEO and creating content around that so that people are going to find you organically, I think that's really, really important. And what happens is with this kind of content is it will still bring people to you, into your business, who will find you for years to come, years and years to come. Like I've got a blog post at the moment which is on events and retreats that I wrote in 2018, I think, and literally every single day someone is signing up for the freebie and joining my email list on the back of that. So these things can be really, really effective and can really work. And that's what I will be focusing on for spontaneous client inquiries, is some method of free, if possible, marketing that is helping people find you. I think that's really, really important. So having something like that at the foundation is helpful, really, really useful, and will help to generate those spontaneous client inquiries. Then once you've got that kind of working, and again, it's about finding a level that feels good, that's doable for you, that you can be consistent with. There's also different ways that you can approach that. Again, I teach all of this in Wholehearted Business. I also teach it in Content Marketing for Coaches Club. So you've got some options there in terms of where you might want to start with looking at that. And then you've got the option of boosting that. So you've got options of things like paid ads and also things like collaborations as well, depending on your niche and what feels good to you. You've got some options. So I would be looking at, on top of the organic content marketing, is do you want to boost that up with a little bit of paid ads? And again, doesn't have to be as scary as it sounds. I have put off, I have dabbled with ads before, but I've put off paid ads for so long. And where I'm really at the moment in my business is pushing into those spaces where I have been pulling myself back a little bit and being a bit scared, and I'm working on ads right now. But you can do that and you can boost it up. And then the last part of the process is you want to have a sales funnel that helps to sell to people on a more automated basis. It doesn't have to be totally robotic and tripwires and timers and stuff like that. In fact, I would kind of caution against that if it's a coaching package that you're selling. But basically a sales funnel where people join your email list, all of that stuff, the paid ads, the organic non-social media based content marketing, there's that big mouthful again. All of that should be designed to get people on your list into that funnel, and then that's where you can do the selling in a really automated way, and it can still be really human and really friendly. You can still add in some of those more kind of high touch points into that if you want. And that is the primary way that you are going to generate more spontaneous client inquiries. Other little things that you might want to bear in mind with this as well is, if you are selling a one-to-one coaching package and you want to generate more spontaneous client inquiries, you need to be thinking about what is going to help people make the decision to work with you now and not 2 or 3, 4 months down the line when they've forgotten about you? Like, what can you do to help them make the decision to get in touch now? And often when we're not using things like, time limited discounts, countdown timers, all that kind of stuff, bonuses and things like that, which you can do with a one-to-one offer potentially. The options are, how do you create internal urgency rather than you use an external urgency? And there's a whole host of ways that we can do that. And again, that is going to support those spontaneous client inquiries. So that's what we want to have set up. If we want to generate more spontaneous client inquiries, we want basically a method of marketing that is bringing people into our world, that feels good to us, and that is going to grow and not depreciate over time. And like I say, for me, the ones that are working is blogging with Pinterest, potentially YouTube, podcasting, that kind of thing. And obviously you can do that with social media if you want. Like, if that's really your bag and you're really happy to put in the work there, then that can work brilliantly as well. But like I say, in my highly biased opinion, I wouldn't be necessarily investing loads of time in that right now. But again, it's really important to recognise that these things take time. They just do. That it's going to take time to build up. Paid ads on top of that can help accelerate it. Collaborations where perhaps you're doing like summits and bundles and things like that, depending on your niche and depending on how that feels for you. If you've got stuff set up to participate in those, that can be brilliant as well. And basically all these things are designed to help people get on your list, get through that funnel where you are connecting with them, selling to them, building some internal urgency for them so that they are more likely to reach out and become a spontaneous client inquiry. Like I said at the beginning, neither one of these two kind of methods, like the, having to go out and hustle and find people and, and DM them and email them and do all of that kind of like relationship building stuff, versus the spontaneous client inquiry method, neither one of them is better than the other, and they both work. Like, nothing's going to happen just because you sat here doing nothing. Like, there is work there is stuff to happen and to do. And like I say, generally speaking, the kind of like more proactive way of going out and finding clients is going to get clients more quickly than the other one. But I think that there's always going to be a role for both in your business. Again, at the start, if you want to get clients more quickly, you're going to be wanting to do something that is a little bit more proactive. But over time, you can start and shift that and relax more back into that, receiving mode, and that kind of like being the flower and not the bee, and actually just kind of, creating your content and feeling really good about that, putting it out there, playing with some ads, playing with some bundles and summits and things like that, and have the system set up that allow you to do that. And again, I think what that offers us is a lot more sustainability, is a lot more time, a lot more kind of, potential to scale in the future for our businesses and to add in other things that we might sell. And it's kind of that foundational, for me, when I'm talking about coaching businesses and the stuff that I share around helping you guys grow your coaching businesses, this to me is really important, because I want you to have a business that feels really, really good, not just now, but like in 5 years' time. I don't think any of us are here, just for a quick flash in the pan kind of bit of success. I think all of us want to have coaching businesses that are still thriving in 5-10 years' time. And this is the foundation from my perspective, which is going to help you achieve that. And like I say, generating spontaneous client inquiries is a really big part of that. And what happens when they precede that more passive income side of things, when you are getting like the PayPal pings or the Stripe pings on your phone when you're out and about, like that precedes that. So, looking at these structures, and like I said, do check out Wholehearted Business, which is my 6-month group program. I teach all of this in there. This is all like solidly part of what we teach in that program. And also check out that free guide, the Aligned Client Attraction System, which kind of gives you the little pieces if you want to go away and try it out yourself. You're more than welcome to download that guide and have a look and see how you can structure that into your own business as well. But like I say, if you are looking for support, Wholehearted Business is the place to come into, and just to, take some of my own advice. If you are not feeling the urgency to join Wholehearted Business right now, that's absolutely fine, because again, like I said, what I often think of in terms of support in your business is you will just reach a point where you're stuck and nothing is changing, and it'll just be like, something needs to change in order for me to make this business work. I'm really committed to making this business work. I know, there's a seed of something really important to me in this business. That's how it'll feel. It'll be like, I really believe in myself in this business. I'm a bit scared, and I do have sometimes I do feel a bit kind of like I don't have the self-belief, but there's enough of that is there that you haven't stopped trying to grow your business. You haven't stopped trying to do all the things, but you just need some support and you just reach that point. And that's where a lot of people come into Wholehearted Business at, is where they're just really excited about how to make this work. They've got stuff, they just feel like they've hit a bit of a brick wall in terms of how do I take this idea and really make it work. And for some reason they feel a connection with me, which is lovely. And like I say, I'm not for everybody, like definitely not, and that's absolutely fine. But I think the people who get me. But yeah, Wholehearted Business is, it is the program that I wish I had when I became a health coach, because it would have helped me accelerate my journey and really understand how all the pieces fit together much sooner, rather than me kind of faffing around for ages trying to make something work. And eventually I did get work with people and get a mentor and do courses and programs and stuff like that. But if I'd had something like this at the time, it would have it brings you up to speed on what you need to know in 6 months and has it all set up for you in 6 months. It's a fab program. So if that feels good to you, if you want more of those spontaneous client inquiries, if the idea of having to hustle for every single client doesn't feel good, and you know that you need to create some systems in your business to do that, then come into Wholehearted Business. If you want more clients more quickly, and you know that you are going to have to do some of that kind of proactiveness, going out and doing that high touch stuff, come into Wholehearted Business. We can talk about doing that in a way that feels good and that doesn't feel salesy, icky, or uncomfortable. We can do all of that. So do check that out as well. As always, guys, I really hope that you have found this episode of the show useful. Please let me know if you want more spontaneous client inquiries. Let me know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Give me a like and subscribe, please. I'm rubbish at asking for that. As always, message me on Instagram. I love chatting to people. It's really nice to hear what you think of the show. Have an amazing week, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.